even been introduced on the podcast yet. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bad Movies Podcast. My name is Johnny DeMaya, and I'll be the host. Insert applause here, Grant. If you're like me and you love movies, but love the good ones, you may or may not be constantly asking your friends or your favorite reviewers or criticism websites whether or not a movie is worth your time. And oftentimes the answer is no. And if you're like me, when you hear the answer is no, it entirely dissuades you from watching it at all. So what I've done, what I'm continuing to do is for every episode, I'm going to watch a critically panned or at least divisive movie and give it as fair a shot as I possibly can. So each episode, I'll bring on a guest, hopefully with some sort of relationship to the film in question, just to give it some flavorful bias or whatever to keep the conversation going, as we deep dive into the film as thoroughly as we can to determine what people don't like about it and why or why not it may actually be worth your time after all. And if none of that speech made sense, don't worry, it's pretty easy to play along. All right, so now introducing my guest for this week, the wonderful, magnificent Maeve Marvin Mayfield.
Maeve Mayfield here.
Great intro.
I just feel like I need to say something about this film that we're going to talk about.
Well, I haven't even said what film we're talking about yet. I mean, they'll probably know because it'll have it in the title, probably.
Sure, but I don't think it belongs on this podcast.
Well, I don't know. I'm gonna... Well, hold on. Okay, so...
Pause.
Time out here. So, just to clarify, the film in question today is Big Fat Liar. Released in 2002.
February
Directed...
8th.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
You did
best
your
day
research.
Ever.
What, just because it was released
Best
that day?
day ever.
You have no relationship to that day.
Not at all.
Okay. All right, so it's directed by Sean Levy, written by Dan Schneider and Brian Robbins. So what I know about Sean Levy is that you might recognize the name from, he directed a lot of episodes of Stranger Things. So pretty cool, pretty big.
And
but
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. That's true. You did do research. I'm
Don't
very
be
impressed by you.
patronizing
No,
to
I'm not.
me.
I'm sorry. No, that's awesome. But in his early 2000s career, he did a lot of movies just like this.
However,
Yes.
Big Fat Liar was his first film.
Was it? I didn't.
Mhm.
I didn't know.
It was his
That's
first
awesome.
film
That's rad.
because he did TV before.
Honestly, for a directorial debut, well, we'll get into it. Okay, but
Yeah, there we go.
Dan Schneider and Brian Robbins, you probably recognize from like other Disney film classics.
They're the fucking
Or television
Nickelodeon
classics.
Mafia.
Yeah.
That's what I'll say. Honestly, come on, banger
That is
after banger.
So accurate. Okay, so anyway, about Big Fat Liar. Maeve Mayfield, please give us a plot summary of Big Fat Liar.
Well, Big Fat Liar is basically the boy who cried wolf. Period. A little more into it, this boy, 14 years old, Jason Shepard, is, I don't want to say a compulsive liar, but lies to get his
He's
way.
a compulsive liar.
Yes, okay. And he has to, it's the what's the word? Not exposition, right after exposition.
Inciting action?
Yeah.
Okay.
Inciting action. The inciting action is he forgot to write his paper, his creative writing assignment.
Mhm.
And so he makes up this big lie, gets caught, has to go to summer school. So he ends up, so instead of going to summer school, he writes it, but then he leaves it in this movie producer's car, who steals the script, and Jason has to prove to his dad and his mom, who's, around, that he wrote this film, and he's not lying this time, but his parents don't believe him because he always lies. So he flies with his best friend Kaylee all the way to LA to try to get Marty Wolf, Paul Giamatti, to tell his dad that he stole the story. But of course he doesn't want to because he's a movie producer and he doesn't want to be fired.
And chaos ensues.
Exactly.
What a brilliant plot description. Quick fact check. You said that he went to summer school before he wrote the paper. He wrote it and then
right.
lost it and then went to summer school because of it.
Yeah.
That's okay. Other than
But-
that, I thought it was a very beautiful plot summary.
Thank you. But the reason why he couldn't get to summer school, or the reason why he couldn't get to school on time was because the bully stole his skateboard.
That's right.
But I
That's-
have your skateboard.
Very, very crucial moment.
That's a crucial moment
In the
because that's a
plot.
brilliant line. But I have your skateboard.
The reason I've chosen it for this podcast, for a couple reasons. So, just to go through, quick list off of some of the ratings. So it has a 5.4 on IMDb. That's the
Boo.
IMDb user rating. That's out of 10. It has a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's out of
Boo.
100. Do you want to do your boo again? Are you going to
No,
do
I'm
it again
okay.
for the next thing I said?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it has a 36 out of 100 on Metascore.
That's not too bad.
36 out of 100?
Well,
That's pretty bad.
what is Metascore? What is Rotten Tomatoes, too?
Well, Metascore is
I don't
a
know
little
what that
more
is.
accurate.
I know
than
what Rotten Tomatoes is, but I don't know what Metascore is. That sounds fake.
Metascore, right next IMDb has a relationship with Metascore. So like right next to every IMDb score, there's a Metascore.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about?
That sounds fake.
No, so it's an accumulation of critic reviews. It's just like Rotten Tomatoes, but they allow reviews to have more than two answers. Like Rotten Tomatoes, I dislike Rotten Tomatoes because it has, for critic analysis, either it's rotten or it's 100%. And so that's why I think
Really?
yeah, seriously, yeah. And so I think that sometimes Rotten Tomatoes scores are a little unreliable, but
Also-
Metascore is a little more accurate, I think.
Also, I'm so sorry my chair's so squeaky. Or creaky. If you hear that.
All right, yeah, it's not her farting.
Okay, anyway.
Now that we have the disclaimer. Okay, but here's the other thing about this movie. Roger Ebert, the famed movie critic of our time, he gave the movie 3 out of 4 stars,
Woo!
which is actually pretty good.
It is so lit.
Yeah, that would be the equivalent of like a 75%.
And you know why? Because it was, and I will say it again, the Mafia of Nickelodeon.
Oh my
In 2002, everyone who was the It thing was in that movie.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Frankie Muniz,
Stop.
Amanda Bynes,
Oh, we will talk about Mr. Muniz for sure.
Jaleel White.
Jaleel White. Oh, that's
Urkel.
Urkel. Okay, yeah. I do know. who you're-
Typical. You don't know his real name. You just know him by his fucking Family Matters name.
Well, they make a joke in the movie.
That's the
about
whole
that.
movie. That's why he's in it.
Well, okay.
Because they keep calling him Urkel.
We're getting into spoiler territory. So this
Sorry.
is your spoiler disclaimer for the podcast. If you have, for whatever insane reason, not seen Big Fat Liar, I really want to see Big Fat Liar. Pause this podcast. We'll still be here when you get back, and then come back to it after you've watched it. All right. So the spoiler disclaimer is out there. We can deep dive.
Whew.
Before we deep dive, I think people should know why I brought you on this podcast specifically. So I want you to talk about your relationship with this movie.
Okay. Big Fat Liar has been in my life since February 8th, 2002.
The best day of your life.
The best day of my life.
As you saw the premiere.
Oh, no, I did not. I did not.
Yeah, it
But
is not
I had it on VHS, and I still have it on VHS. Actually, we were going through old things in my house, my childhood home, and my mom was like, "Can I give away, Thumbelina? Can I give away, what was that other movie with it had a green cover? Clock Stoppers. It was Clock Stoppers. That was a good one. But I told her to give it away. The only VHS I did not want to give away was Big Fat Liar.
Wait, you gave away Thumbelina?
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a while. Like, it's just like spring cleaning, Give
But
away
you-
one thing a day.
But you had to keep Big
Big Fat Liar.
Why?
That movie, to this day, makes me laugh more than anything in the world. I quote it, and I start laughing. I think about it. I was writing notes for this podcast saying, like, oh, what are my favorite quotes for this? I was laughing while I was writing the goddamn notes.
Well, I have a section planned for the timestamp
It
or
was
whatever. that we'll talk about.
crazy.
That's
And-
great.
I think that it was, it's a lot of nostalgia for me to be, truly. I have memories with my mom and dad watching it all together. Like, not to be cliche, but before my parents divorced, we all watched it together. It was a big happy family. I had 3 big dogs. We watched it. We laughed. And I just love the family value that I had with it, because my dad and I would always quote it. And with that, he would be like, hey, remember this part? And then I would say it back to him, and then we would laugh, and then my mom would laugh. And it was just such a good unit time in my life.
Yeah.
A family time. And then coming into college, my two best friends saw the movie and quoted it with me. So I just feel like that movie, everywhere I goes, has united me with someone special.
Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I think you're touching upon something that I really want to get into. Is like, because you said that the movie's very nostalgic for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my biggest question is, because a lot of people I talk to, the people I told that I was doing this podcast, and they asked, like, what was the first movie that you were going to do? Big Fat Liar. A lot of people that I spoke to about that, especially people my age and your age, were all like, really? Like surprised.
Them.
Yeah, but I think that the movie has like a cult status. Like, it's the closest thing I could think of to a cult status of a movie that came out in 2002.
Yeah. I mean...
That's all you got.
Go on!
Just a nose snort.
I don't know. Cult status, I always get confused with that word.
It just means like a movie that was like underappreciated at its time, but then it's had like a resurgence.
No, I understand, but for pinpointing what is a cult classic or not, I just stay away from that because I don't know. I'm like, is that a cult status? Is that a cult status? I don't know. But if you explain it that way, then definitely Big Fat Liar is a cult status. 100%.
Yeah. So I mean, so I guess my biggest question for this podcast, for this episode anyway, is like, because critics clearly did not like this movie when it came out. I mean, with the exception of Roger Ebert, who like points out some points that we'll make in this podcast or whatever, people did not like this movie generally. But audiences love it. At least people today who watch it back love it.
Yeah.
And is it nostalgia? Is it actually a bad movie, or is it like a misunderstood masterpiece?
Well, I mean, listen, it's not gonna win any awards. Like Amanda Bynes won for the Kids' Choice Awards.
She won for this movie?
Yeah, because that was her first feature. She was like the it girl back then. She had and honestly, like she was so good in that movie. This was
her first movie.
This was her first movie. She had amazing improv skills in it. All the different voices she did was like added on by her. But then she, of course, went down the old trash can.
We don't have to get into that necessarily. But I actually disagree with your notion that this film doesn't deserve awards, because there are things praiseworthy in this film. So like, anyway, all right, let's just start. How about that? Let's go by
your agenda.
Let's start with what's good.
What's good?
Since we're starting to
what's
trickle
good?
No, do you want to do a little jingle to lead us in?
Yeah. We're gonna tell us what's good. What's good?
All right, editorial note. That's gonna be the song every time we go into
the
positives. That's great. That's awesome. Okay, so I have a few things written down because I watched the movie again last night just to refresh. I hadn't seen it in a little while. Actually, last time I watched it before last night was with you.
Mm-hmm.
In December, I want to say, or maybe it
with
was
my mother.
Maybe it was early January. Yeah, with you and your mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I was honestly a little drunk. I enjoyed myself.
We were smashed.
But yeah, okay, we were fucked up. But I didn't really register the things at the time, so I really wanted to rewatch it, because before that, the last time I'd seen Big Fat Liar was probably when I was like a little kid. The notes I have here for the positives. The first one I have should be absolutely no surprise to anyone. Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti is, without a shadow of the doubt, the best part of this movie.
He steals Jason Shepard's story, and he steals Frankie Muniz's movie. Right?
That is a great way to describe it, actually. Yes, absolutely. He takes Malcolm in the Middle and squashes him in his hand.
Yeah, honestly.
In his little blue hand. He is exceptional. But like, what's weird is that he's this good in a movie that's like whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he is firing on all cylinders with a level of commitment that I honestly, I would compare it to like Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. Now, obviously, it's not like that level. I'm not saying that he's like
comparing it on paper like that. People are gonna be like, "Oh, come on!"
Like everybody who's like rolling their eyes, like listening to that. But like, hear me out.
Totally.
Like the point of the matter is, I'm not saying that Paul Giamatti like went around and like lived in a motel for 6 months perfecting the voice of Marty Wolf. I'm not saying that Paul Giamatti was like writing in a diary like all the thoughts of Marty Wolf, which are probably just like, fuck this kid, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
But I do think that like, in terms of eccentricity, I think it's very easy for performers to go too far. And what's great about Paul Giamatti in this movie is that there's not a single moment where I think, oh, he went too far. Now, you could think he's not funny in the movie. You could think the movie's not funny. but I don't think anyone would ever doubt that this is like a great performance.
Yeah, I mean, it's physical comedy, it's improv, it's all of the tools that we want to have in real life, but you know, we go too far, and then that one person says, "Okay, you need to take it back a little bit. You need to calm down a little bit." But Paul Giamatti just goes full force with Marty Wolf, because I really feel like, you know, he said in some interviews, like, I based this off of some people I met in the show business, but you know, I don't feel like he's ever really known a Marty Wolf. Like, he knew some
Not
aspects
to the
of
level, that we know Marty Wolf.
but I mean, just like, if you read a line from, this is what, like, from an actor standpoint, I read a line on paper and it's like, Marty Wolf line. Always remember, Jiminy, the truth is overrated. And then Frankie Muniz's character, Jason, is like, my name's Jason. Marty Wolf, and it always will be. Now get out. Paul Giamatti, and it always will be. Now get out! Just like those short-tempered eruptions.
Yeah, no, he makes a fucking meal out of it.
Brilliant.
But they never feel unwelcome. They always feel like it's true to the character, but it's also like just silly and funny enough to be fun, that you're in on the fun.
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti is like tapping into something truly brilliant in this movie. But here's the other thing. Paul Giamatti's amazing. I also think this movie has a brilliant supporting cast. And I'm not talking about like the main players. I'm talking like more specifically, I'm talking about like the people that are in just like one scene. Donald
Faison, Jaleel White, the guy Screech from
is
what's
he
that
the
show?
One,
He's the one
show?
at the parties. At the party with like Kenan Thompson at the
Oh!
producers party. Screech is in the shot.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing here?
Idea. No, but like all those people are still making a fucking meal out of it. Like, I think of like the grandma that like runs,
you know what her
Paul
name
Giamatti
is?
off the road. No, I have no idea.
Sparkle.
Shut the fuck up.
Her name is Sparkle.
All right, she's my new favorite. But that woman in particular, or oh my god, my favorite character. I have his name written down. Rudy, the boyfriend.
Oh, peace out, little G.
Yeah, literally, what the
Booyah!
fuck? That guy, in any other movie, completely forgettable. In this movie, brilliant choices.
And let's not forget the tow truck driver, who has the best line in the whole fucking movie.
Yeah.
They told me to pick up a little blue car. They didn't say anything about a little blue man. Come on! He has one scene and he kills it. Or the grandma in the car, when she's in the car behind him. Up yours, blue boy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are lines in this movie that I think if they came out of other people's mouths, I would think they're stupid. But like, either it's the way they're directed, or I don't know what it is, but like, there are a lot of people with just like one or two scenes that are so memorable. You know who actually another one of my favorites is the receptionist. Marty Wolf Pictures.
Yeah.
She's brilliant.
Marty Wolf Pictures,
Like,
please hold.
That like they are just so fun. They are just having so much fun.
My dog.
Yeah, it's just like almost sobbing.
I'm coming.
Like there's just great performances like literally throughout the movie. It reminds me of like Jonathan Demme's like Something Wild, where it's like, I mean, obviously that's I think a much better film all around. Mm-hmm. And like Jeff Daniels is brilliant. And I forget the girl's name now. But like that is a movie that's like littered with great characters, but it also has like such a strong supporting cast where like the gas station clerk comes in for one scene with like just a handful of lines, and it completely has you like in hysterics laughing because you're like you are let in on the fun at that point. And I think that's when this movie's at its strongest, is when you're let in on the fun.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, the end.
I have one other positive note here.
Okay.
Which you might get what I'm saying, but I might have to explain it a little bit.
All right, try.
Okay, so when the world bends reality around the characters, the movie is at its strongest. So what I mean by that is that when this movie makes the conscious effort to forego reality or like real circumstances as we know them in favor of the characters' eccentricities, it makes it that much funnier. So like what I mean is like situations like the jock dressing as Amanda Bynes and like and being,
he's great too.
Yeah, he's awesome, but he was on
SNL for a while.
Right. Yes. He
Yeah.
just got booted off. I forget his name, but he's great.
Tanar, I don't know.
He was really, really
Sorry
great. Yeah, but
if you're
anyway.
listening to this.
But he like dresses up as Amanda Bynes. I don't know if you've seen the movie in a while. To the listeners, I know you've seen the movie.
Oh, the grandma's like, "Who's there?
But she
I got
can't
a
see.
gun."
Like, it's so silly, and it's so funny because like when you bend the reality in a way that it serves the characters, we're let in on the joke and it becomes really, really funny. Now, I think that it goes too far in some ways, but I'll talk about that when we get into the negative points. But for right now, like what I just want to focus on is like those moments when it's letting the audience in on the joke that there are characters that are hyper intelligent and they are always outsmarting the characters that are hyper stupid.
Yeah,
I mean that is just a great juxtaposition that is layered throughout this movie.
And I think that's what kids respond to when they watch a movie like that. I mean, kids are going to respond to the extremes and not the subtleties.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, you know, us grown-ups, me a grown-up, laughing at it also does that too. But, you know, it's like we know that it's a farce. I mean, not a farce, that's the wrong word, but it's a hyperbole of these characteristics of these, I can't think of the word right now, but the stereotypes of these stereotypes. Yeah. And, you know, but I still love it. Yeah. My mom still loves it, you know?
Well, no, but like that's something that I think in this movie it's okay to love because I feel like they do a very good job of letting you in on that.
Yeah.
So where I think that goes wrong is there are elements to that reality that just don't add up for me. Oh, that was a stop.
That was my tummy.
If I've ever heard one. So there are elements to the reality bend of this movie that don't add up. Like the biggest one that I can think of is, and this is like a blink and you'll miss it notice. Like, sorry, let me back that up because I just stumbled on my words. This is like a blink and you miss it moment, but I caught it last night, and it was all I could fucking think about. I know you're rolling your eyes, but like, hear me out. So, the tour guide at Universal. It's assumed that it's Universal, right? Mm-hmm. But so when Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes first get to the studio, they hop on this like tour shuttle or whatever, and then they end up hopping off and they like walk through all the sets and they get to Marty Wolf's production house and all this stuff. The tour guide has a few lines in there where he talks about the production of Big Fat Liar. What he says about it is that Big Fat Liar is going to start shooting next week. Here's what's weird about this to me. Mm-hmm. Jason, Frankie Muniz's character, and Amanda Bynes, I forget her character's name, Kaylee. Jason and Kaylee already saw a trailer for Big Fat Liar in the movie theater. The other thing that's weird about this is that the tour guide also like makes a few mentions that it's like, it's going to be the blockbuster sensation. Everybody keeps saying this movie's going to be the blockbuster sensation. It's going to be this huge thing. And it's already slated for a next year release. Never in my life have I heard of a movie being that fast-tracked. The script's not even finished. They make multiple mentions of that in the film. The script is not yet done. They already have a trailer. And the trailer is already identifiable enough that Frankie Muniz's character knows that that's his essay. It doesn't add up. There's so many flaws in that I can't even like wrap my head around it. What's bothersome about this is that it doesn't do anything in service of the characters. It creates this frustrating, almost like science fiction fantasy world for what this movie takes place in. That you are so stuck on that you can't enjoy the things that happen.
That is insane that you're stuck on that.
No, that
is insane.
There are that, but once you point that out, then there's a million other little things that you can't overlook.
I don't know if you have been on the tram ride at Universal Studios, but you cannot just hop off and explore the set. Also,
right,
camels don't walk around the set.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
We are living in Fantasyland. We have a movie to produce. It's not real.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that those things don't seem weird to me until I'm hung up on one of the weird things. So like that little thing about that movie and how the movie doesn't make any sense to me makes me realize all those other weird things.
Like
all the
what?
conveniences of like the things that you just said that like camels walk around on set.
But that's
That-
so cool to see.
Not really.
I was, as a kid, my favorite memory of that movie was them in the prop house running through all the props. They don't have food there, of course not. But like, I didn't think I was gonna walk on
Right, but
to
they have Coca-Cola.
they have a Coca-Cola
one of
machine.
the best.
I can't stop. I can't stop.
It's never talked about
Literally,
again.
Frankie Muniz is on Coke, not Coca-Cola, on Coke. No, but that was my favorite. That was one of my favorite parts as a kid watching that movie because it was like, oh, no kid, no teachers, no parents. You could do whatever they want, and they were just messing around in this prop house that, of course, doesn't exist. But you know, also, sorry, I'm going off track for a sec. Big Fat Liar stole like a million references just going into that prop house.
What with what in particular?
Like, I mean, in the movie in general, when they're on that set, Monty, the assistant, is standing in front of the psycho house when she's talking to Wolf.
Right, I did catch that.
Amanda Bynes is touching E.T.
Mm-hmm.
There's there's Chewbacca, I think, no, there's not Chewbacca in the room.
See, but this is my point, though. For a movie that loves movies so much, enough to incorporate all these references in there, why does this movie pretend to not know how movies are made? It's just such an easy fix. I mean, like, all you have to say is that Big Fat Liar is farther along than it actually is.
Yeah, you know, Dan Schneider's a TV guy, you know?
That's just silly
He's
to
a
me.
movie.
That's
He's
just-
not a movie guy.
That's when it's lazy to me. But again, so like that big thing really layers in all of these little things that you just can't get out of your head. Like then I start to see all the other inconsistencies. I mean, like this thing I spotted earlier than that moment, but like I couldn't let it go. Is there's a shot of like Frankie Muniz stapling his paper. But then when Marty Wolf picks it up in the car, the paper's not stapled.
Whatever.
No, I know it's silly, but then I'm starting to think back and I rewatched the scene again just to make sure. But like Jason's backpack is open and he slams into a limo hard as fuck as he's rolling down the street in this bike, and nothing falls out. But then as soon as he gets into the limo, all the papers fall out.
Okay.
It's just little things like that. And then there's this moment later on in the movie where Marty Wolf is blue and he's dressing for the day. It's right before the big climax. He's dressing for the. It's like hilarious scene where Paul Giamatti's again just making a meal out of it. And he's like dressing in all these like wacky outfits or whatever, and he's like talking to his
And
monkey.
dancing to Hungry Like the Wolf.
No, that's an earlier scene. I'm talking about a later one. It's like right before the
Oh,
actual
right
climax.
after it, you mean?
Yeah.
When he's
It's
washing
before the
his beard?
helicopter ride, all
Oh,
that
it's
stuff.
the scene where it's like that's the music that plays.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. but so anyway, so he's blue, and then it's cutting back and forth between him dressing up and them talking about the plan and all this stuff. When the plan is like all said and done, cuts back to Marty Wolf. He's not blue anymore, and they have a brief exchange on the phone where he says, "I scrubbed with turpentine all last night" or whatever. So my question is, why was he blue in the morning when he was getting dressed?
Yo, turpentine's strong as fuck.
Strong as fuck with delayed effects?
I mean, yo, I'm not looking at the specifics of that. You know, to be honest,
I wouldn't be either if there weren't all of these things just adding up in my head that are going like what is this movie thinking? There's just a lot of lazy stuff like that. And when it's not in service of the characters, when it's just to have the convenience of not having Paul Giamatti be blue anymore, just a throwaway line and that's that, then I'm like, oh, this movie's getting lazy. And then I started enjoying it a lot less.
see, for that, I'm really forgiving about stuff like that. I like to just enjoy it as it's coming along. You know, remember the funny parts that are already happening. Sure, I mean, honestly, you rewatch it, you will notice there are boom shadows. You will notice that there are literally crew people in the reflections of like the phone, the mirror. I mean, it's crazy how much you notice when you're watching it with the knowledge of someone who loves film and
Right, but if
all this
it's
stuff.
proper, if it's done right, which this movie at its best is like great escapism. if it's done right, you wouldn't really give a shit about those things, or you wouldn't even notice them at all. But as soon as it's done wrong, in that one brief moment or whatever that ruined the entire fantasy of this world for me, that's when you start to notice all those things, and that's when they start to add up, and that's when they start to really be a detractor from your enjoyment of the movie.
Well, now I'm going to be curious how many people noticed this stuff before you just said it on this podcast. Because I have watched this movie more than 100 times, and I have never noticed that. Right. And maybe it is my lack of expertise with film. Maybe it's I just like seeing funny guy on screen. But fuck, I don't know. I feel like I have a lot of people in my life that have never noticed these things, and it's just because they understand what they're getting into. And
yeah, no, look, that's totally possible. But that's the point of the podcast, is to really like examine these like quote unquote bad movies or quote unquote divisive movies, and to really see like, is it warranted to shit on this, or are we overreacting? And I think that the answer in the case of this movie, and I still have one more negative point to bring up, which is actually my biggest point. It's more so than this, but I think the answer for that question with this movie in particular is like, it's neither. Like this movie is not bad, by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we ranted for, I don't even know how long, like what, 10 minutes or whatever the fuck it was, about how all the things we liked about this movie. But it's also not like, it doesn't deserve necessarily the cult acclaim that it's getting. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I have one thing to say to that. And the cult acclaim was established in 1942, you dinosaur!
Okay.
No, but for real, I'm sorry. I just had to throw that out there.
No, that's good. You had to throw the quote in.
I had to throw the quote in. Whew, I was holding that in for a while.
You were like, I need to wait for my perfect moment.
No, I don't. That's why I was saying I don't think this movie is a cult classic, because actually no, because if you say that The Room is a cult classic, I would say Big Fat Liar is a cult classic.
Right, but The Room is a cult classic because it's so bad it's good. Big Fat Liar is a cult classic, I think, because a lot of people have intense nostalgia for it.
Interesting. Okay, so maybe the cult classic categorization can encompass different criteria.
There's definitely a point to be made there.
You know?
Absolutely, yeah. Can I bring up my last point?
Yes.
Just because it's my biggest. Otherwise, I would just let us move on.
Yeah.
Frankie Muniz's character, Jason. I hate him.
Yeah, everyone does.
I fucking hate him.
Nobody likes him.
There's no reason to root for him. He is... And look, I get it. Okay, so I get the whole thing where it's like, his last name is Shepherd and his last name is Wolf, and it's the story of the boy who cried wolf and all that bullshit. Mm-hmm. I get that. I totally get that. He's a hypocrite. Fair. He's a liar the whole movie. There's no reason at the end to believe that he will now tell the truth. I get that's the arc of his character. Furthermore, he's actually an asshole.
I don't think he's a liar. I think he's a boy that lies.
No! He's the biggest liar!
No, I think he is...
Did you hear the noise that came out of my mouth when I said no?
Yeah, you were upset.
I was so passionate about it. No, he's a huge liar. He lies in the whole movie.
Yeah, no, he's mad manipulative. But the reason why I don't think he's a liar is because the whole idea is that Marty Wolf, Paul Giamatti, is what Frankie Muniz' character Jason will become.
Right.
So if you were to say Paul Giamatti, I'm going to start using their names because I got to get into the world of Big Fat Liar again.
Marty Wolf and
Marty
Jason,
Wolf
yeah. We've
is
said it
a liar.
Yes.
Jason, okay, then I have to call Frankie Muniz. Frankie Muniz, he's not Jason Shepard to me, he's Frankie Muniz. Frankie Muniz is a boy that lies a lot to get his way because he's a brat.
Okay.
But Marty Wolf is a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
He is a nasty Hollywood producer. Also, fun fact, right after this, he played a lying agent in Rock of Ages.
That wasn't right after this.
It was like 10 years.
Yeah, that's quite a long time. He had a long career in
Yeah,
between.
whatever.
Okay, but yeah, I get
He
it.
also played John Adams, but who can? And John Adams sucked too.
If John Adams, your knowledge on John Adams is solely from Hamilton, but whatever.
That's
We'll talk
all
about
I
that
need to
another time.
know.
Oh my god. Okay, watch John Adams the miniseries. Anyway, yes, I agree with what you're saying. I understand the point about him not being a liar. So let's say fine, he's not a liar yet. He's just a boy who lies a lot and is very manipulative to his best friend, girlfriend? Question mark?
No, they're platonic.
Whoa.
It doesn't have to always be sexual.
Okay,
y'all.
I thought it
Also
was an
love that
interesting
Amanda Bynes is taller than Frankie Muniz.
She's quite a bit.
Love
taller.
breaking the stereotype like that.
Okay, anyway. He is a fucking asshole. Case in point, his first interaction with Marty Wolf. Do you remember what happens in that fucking first interaction? Because, okay, it's one thing.
My neck.
Yes, it's one thing if they have this interaction and they already have like an established rapport and he knows that Marty Wolf is an asshole, so he's just deciding to be an asshole to him. This is how Jason interacts with strangers. He slams into their limo. He slams into Marty's limo. Then writhes in pain and pretends that like basically threatening to sue him for quote whiplash, which I don't think is.
But he doesn't do that until Marty Wolf refuses to give him a ride down the block.
Right, because he's fucking manipulative as shit. But it gets worse, right? Because again, this is how Jason interacts with strangers. He finds out who Marty Wolf is, and his response is, "Oh man, no offense, but you've let out some real stinkers in your time."
Yeah, that movie
to
was
just
a stinker.
Shit on his career to his face.
Oh, that hit a nerve.
I don't like this character. I don't like him at all. I like to hate Marty Wolf. I'm supposed to root for this kid. And the weird thing is that everybody else roots for this kid. So everybody in this movie is trying to tell you, like, this kid's the good guy. This kid's the good guy. I see no evidence that Jason Shepard should be the good guy of this film. And it just completely ruins this film for me.
But can you blame him? Look at his parents. They're fucking idiots.
Yeah, well, his mom is basically non-existent.
His mom says 3 lines in the whole movie.
I would be shocked if it's even that many.
I counted.
That's crazy.
I counted. It's 3
His
lines.
dad is on, I don't
His
know,
dad is-
some sort of downer or something, but he is like...
His dad is absent.
He says everything like this. And everybody else is so high energy in the movie, so you really notice it. You're like, why the fuck is this guy just like...
I mean, it's like the grown-ups are the, I don't know, losers. Is that the word to say?
Yeah,
losers.
they're losers.
And the kids rule.
I guess? I don't know. Is that...
But then you go to Hollywood and you meet all these awesome grown-ups. Like the limo driver.
The limo driver is hilarious.
Donald Face. Oh my god. And then okay, but can we also give him props that he convinced this limo driver that he was the sausage king of Chicago?
No. He convinced him that he was the fur coat distributor of whatever. Sausage King of Chicago is a reference to another movie.
Oh fuck.
That's Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I was getting it mixed up because this movie is Ferris Bueller's Day Off mixed with The Boy Who Cried Wolf.
Yeah, that's a fair assessment. I mean, Ferris
Do you
Bueller's
like
Day
how I
Off.
threw that in there?
Yeah, no, that was good. I appreciate that acknowledgement. I think that this movie needs a lot of work to have the same legacy as Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but I do appreciate that reference
Thanks
and comparison.
for the appreciation comment.
You're so welcome.
God.
Can we agree that Jason sucks?
No, everyone knows that Frankie Muniz sucks.
No, don't say Frankie Muniz sucks. Jason Shepard sucks. Frankie Muniz is fine.
Frankie Muniz
He's
is
whatever.
kind of a weenie.
But, yeah, okay.
But yeah, no, Jason Shepard, nobody likes him. Whenever people are like, just like saying, oh, I'm this person in the movie. Oh, I'm that person in the movie. Nobody wants to be Frankie Muniz.
That's true.
Everyone's like, oh, I want to be Paul Giamatti. I want to be Amanda Bynes. I want to be this. Blah, blah, blah. Who wants to be Frankie Muniz? Boo. Nobody likes him.
Yeah, but like, what I think about it is that, because I'm combing through the reviews or whatever last night. No one is talking about the fact that that character is actually a horrible person and just should not be rooted for. No one talks about it. So
That's
I
because
think
he's
that
the victim. of it all.
Yeah, but fuck that.
He's got his story stolen.
All due respect, fuck that. Okay, if anyone is an aspiring writer for a film, never fucking write your protagonist as a victim just to get people to like them. Rule of fucking thumb. There's that, like, that is a good way in, but it is not the way through.
Yeah, but can we go back to Paul Giamatti?
Yeah.
Paul Giamatti said the funniest thing when he was talking about when Jason was like, "Oh, but you stole my movie." Blah. Paul Giamatti's like, "So what? It's a dog-eat-dog world, buddy. We got cats eating cats. We got fish munching on fish."
Okay. Well, look, since all my points are out on the table, let's go into speed round. Speed round. Top 3 favorite quotes or moments. Maeve Mayfield, go.
Pew 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 pew. Speed round. Pew 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 pew.
All right. So speed round. Maeve Mayfield. Top 3 quotes or moments from the film.
Okay. Top 3?
Top 3.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just a speed round. You got to just come up with
Okay.
it. This will be a long
Okay,
speed
off
round.
the top of my head. Okay. Marty Wolf in the beginning. I'm on the phone. When he crashes into the masher. Oh my god. When Jason Shepard goes in and he's like, "You stole my story," and then he's like, "Oh, here's your story back," but then he accidentally lights it on fire, and then he's like, "Let me put it out with my lit cigar," and then he shoves it into the trash can, and then Frankie Muniz pours alcohol on it, and he's like, "Way to go, Smokey!" Oh my god, I'm sweating.
Okay. All right. Speed round. Top 3 favorite characters. Go.
Marty Wolf.
Yeah, good answer.
No, actually, it's Marty Wolf. It's Paul Giamatti, and then Amanda Bynes.
Oh, okay.
I really like her character because I think I could have played it.
What a great
To be honest.
What a great reason. Okay, I have just a few notes, speed round notes, if you want to throw any in there in between this. Okay. Speed round notes.
Oh my god, wait, can I just say one more part that I really loved?
Of course.
It was the part when he was Is the part after he got out of the helicopter and he's walking up the sandbound and there's this intense music playing
Yes.
and he's crazy and you just see him. And it's right after the part where he's in the helicopter and he's like, "Punch a hole in the sky, Grandpa, go, go, go!" And then he's like, and then they have to jump out the helicopter and he's like, "This is insanity!"
You had 3 honorable mentions. That's a good speed round, though. You fit 6 in there.
Yeah.
Good grace. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Wait. So speed round. Side notes. I have written. Munez's dad is so low energy compared to everyone else in this movie. It's like he's on opium.
Boom, roasted.
Never been on opium, but I just assume that's what it's like. I also have written, and his mom might as well not exist. Remember when he had a sister? Yeah, I forgot too.
Yeah, but you remember her boyfriend?
Yes,
that
I
little G?
do. Yeah, fucking Rudy's the best. Okay, oh, I again written. I guess it's implied that it happens off screen, but the amount of people that do not inquire why Marty is blue at the party is staggering. Just wanted to throw that out there.
It was a publicity stunt.
I guess. This movie is so 90s, even though it's made in 2002. And I also have written, Frankie Muniz's essay is like 3 pages. Let me start that again. Frankie Muniz's essay is like 3 pages. The trailer probably used all 3. The movie is definitely going to be an original idea, dude. Relax.
Also, I bet Frankie Muniz, or Jason Shepard. I bet Jason Shepard has probably written 3 movies and directed 2 of them. If they were going to make a Big Fat Liar 2.
All right. So that's the end of speed round. Thank you very much. End of speed round. Summary. I think, at its worst, very worst, Big Fat Liar is an entertaining gaggle of nonsense. And at its best, I think that it's a perfectly disposable comedy with some great performances that is totally worthwhile for both kids and adults. I'm going to go with a final rating of 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10.
Wow.
You heard it here first.
7 out of 10.
Yeah.
I like that sound.
Yeah, you like that? All right.
Let's remember Mr. Funny Bones.
Jesus Christ.
Good morning, Mr. Funny Bones.
Do you want to give it a rating yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to give it 15 out of 10.
Good answer.
Pew, 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 pew.
All right. And with that, with a 7 out of 10 and a 15 out of 10, I think we have concluded this episode of Bad Movies Podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. We hope to see you next time.
Peace out, little G.
This podcast is brought to you by Sound Pollination, an audio production company helping creative minds make some noise. If you enjoyed this podcast, you can find more episodes and other programs on our website, www.soundpollination.com. If you feel so compelled by our content that you just want to throw your money at us, don't fear. Please visit our Patreon page and make a donation that you deem appropriate. Your donations are what make this project possible and keep the cameras, mics, and lights on. Thank you for your support.